Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic, and we've got a Vanderpump Rules update to get to right now for you guys. Ariana refuses to film with Tom on the next season of Vanderpump. We still don't know if he's going to be on that season, but of course, it's the biggest storyline to hit the show probably ever, and it would be ratings gold. But of course, she discusses how she feels now that she's doing a media blitz. She's in New York City on the Today Show. New York Times article was written about her, Variety, and we're going to get to everything she has to say. Do me a favor, follow me on Instagram at DNeals for stand-up show updates. I'll be in Nashville in a couple weeks, then New York City June 6th for that whole week, and then later in the summer, Seattle, Phoenix, and maybe some other dates. So to get those dates, go to DNeals right there on Instagram and find it out. Also, every afternoon, Bachelor Rush Hour, the podcast, I got that up right now. If you want some behind-the-scenes look at how I make my content and other entertainment news, Bachelor Rush Hour, the podcast. All right, so here's the New York Times post. Ariana Madix has long been a fan favorite of Vanderpump. In a new interview with the New York Times, she spoke for the first time in months. So we're going to get to that interview in a second here, but here's what we have Andy Cohen saying on the Chicks in the Office podcast. Of course, he's like a producer and he interviews them. He's probably the most known outside of the actual cast that is discussing Sandoval, the scandal rocking Tom Sandoval and Raquel and everyone else involved.
I look at him and I'm like, you did something really horrible to someone so lovely. I don't understand how he could do it. I also saw him at the reunion and he was shaking the whole time. He was shaking during our one-on-one. He came across to me as a very broken human being. So, which many would say, well, good, he should be, but he is, so everyone knows.
It's a hard focus too, because from just the finale, I don't know if it was still just he was uncomfortable speaking directly with Ariana because of course she was so upset.
Right.
But he came off being so
Not
much
good.
more remorseful to Schwartz and to Lisa than to Ariana. Like,
and my guess is because with Ariana, he probably had so much resentment. Like, I did this because of this. It doesn't make it right. Whereas Lisa and Schwartz and others that got sucked into it were pure collateral damage. Now, that doesn't make it right. I think he had tried to apologize and he tried to explain himself. Like I said before, and I'll say again and again, he probably needs a few more months. Apologize, go away, and then maybe work on your explanation after the dust has settled on all this. But, in the modern world we live in with social media, everyone's trying to jockey for a victimhood. Not everybody, but in these cases they are. And he was trying to, he's trying to defend his actions when he should have just admitted everything he did that was wrong and then just kind of gone quiet for a bit.
Absolutely.
he walked into that room with Tom Schwartz and hugged him. I'm so sorry, man. I'm so sorry.
Yes.
Lisa, he had a breakdown. But with Ariana, it didn't feel like he really, I would think with her, that's the one you break down crying and apologizing
and
to.
he said, if she just followed me when I said I was going to Schwartz, and I actually was like, wow, Schwartz finally said something to stand up for a little bit, where he was like, you can't put that on Ariana.
Yeah, you can't do that. All right, and then here's what Ariana had to say on the Today Show.
I think my way of getting past the anger stage was just I became so disgusted, which then turned me into a place of almost indifference because
apathy.
Apathy. And I don't know if that's also my brain trying to protect itself in a way, but that's kind of where I'm at this moment.
And again, anger is one of the stages of grief. You feel anger, pain, resentment, all these different things. But she's had to go through her emotions so fast because this Band-Aid was ripped off so fast. And so anyway, here's what we've got. I mean, look, it's a ratings juggernaut. All of this attention naturally has caused a ratings spike for Vanderpump. Season 10 has been its most watched ever with an average combined audience of 2.5 million on Bravo, On Demand, and the Peacock platform within 3 days. A 77% increase over the last season, so almost double. Episode 14 last week delivered a series high 3.3 1.3 million total viewers. And again, this is way more than The Bachelor's getting. And again, will these viewers stick around? I'll tell you what, I never watched this show before, and I think a lot of people are binging old seasons. It's going to be huge for the Peacock app, which of course you got to pay a premium for to watch it the next day. So anyway, let's go to the New York Times article. New York Times is getting criticized. Oh my gosh, how could you be talking about this? This isn't news. Well, New York Times has news, and it also has entertainment news and pop culture and things like that. And it is one of the biggest pop culture stories of the year. So of course they are going to be covering it here. So let's just get right down to the Q&A. What do you think the public has latched on? Why do you think the public has latched onto this cheating scandal? Ariana's response was, I think our relationship was so long-standing that people, including myself, saw it as end game. I also think the people involved were so duplicitous and deceitful. Mr. Sandoval was also someone who was constantly preaching about integrity when it came to other people taking accountability, and I think that shift in him having no integrity is something that shocked people. Plus, there are also so many people who can relate to the situation and can put themselves in my shoes. Your professional success seems to be coming at the cost of your personal life. How are you grappling with that? She said, that's a great question, because they are dealing with the fact as like content creators where they're, the better the show does, the more dramatic it is, the better chance they have of making more money, but they're still humans. They have to deal with the consequences. Ariana says it is a lot of pressure because for any public-facing woman or any woman in general who goes through something, there are a lot of expectations around how you're supposed to handle things. It's a lot of pressure when someone puts you on a pedestal. Eventually, you're going to fall off. I'm just trying to remain centered in myself and make sure that I'm just being me and living life. Yeah, and that's exactly what she has to do. She's going to get opportunities like Dancing with the Stars and other opportunities, and it's like, take them and just know they're not going to last forever. Capitalize on them and keep moving on with your life. Question was, how did it feel to pick up filming again after news of the affair broke? She said, a lot of times I feel as though with our friend group and with our show, I'm in a position where someone said something on there was an argument and I wasn't there to see it, so I struggle to know how I feel about that kind of situation. In this situation, I felt so strongly. I knew exactly how I felt. What was it like to film the show's season finale with your ex? She said, when he sat down on that couch during filming and tried to give the sad sack act, I knew he was going to try to sell a bit. I knew he was trying to be that person so that I would be the angry person. I could see what was happening in front of my face, and it was really frustrating. Honestly, when he started yelling at me, I felt a little bit satisfied that he was finally going to be the real him. Wow. Very, very, very deep. Kristen, Tom's ex-girlfriend, also appeared in the finale with you. Your friendship has come a long way. Why was it important to film this scene? She was at my house after I found out about the affair. I think at that point my blood was 80% rosé and nicotine because I was burning the wick at both ends. Boy, that'd be a great podcast, right? 80% like rosé and nicotine. She was asked by producers if she would film, and she said, "This is up to you." I love her dearly. Their relationship was much different than my relationship with him, but at the same time, I think there is a common denominator when it comes to certain problems. What's crazy is their relationship ended 10 years ago, and yet somehow he's managed to not grow in those areas at all. What was it like to film the reunion? It was kind of a weird day because I feel the most of the time in any other reunion, we go through the whole season. But in this reunion, it was really just everybody against one or against two cast members. We've never been united like that before. And of course, everyone was united against Sandoval and Raquel. And of course, Schwartz was also in the mix of what he had to do with maybe being a part of the, of concealing the relationship. We still don't know. So the question was, and this will be our final question here, or we have two questions left. Do you think there's room for redemption for Tom or Raquel? I think any chance that either of them separately had for that ended when they started giving trash interviews, victimizing themselves. Her TMZ interview and his Howie Mandel interview, I think had they not done or said all of those horrible things, maybe one day, but I think the answer ultimately is no. And in our friend group, the answer is no. Look, I'm not going to disagree with her and tell her like, no, you will forgive him. No, he will be redeemed. Everyone has a redemption arc. Tiger Woods, the question is, is this the first time that Sandoval is going to, everyone has the opportunity for a redemption is what I'll say. Whether or not he puts his own pride aside and actually seeks that help, we'll have to see. It could be a very powerful thing for him. And I, for one, am always interested to see how people recover from these types of issues. Are you open to filming with them? She said, no, I have nothing to say to either of them. Our show is very real and follows a real group of friends, and neither of them are in the group of friends, so good luck. I got to tell her, while I appreciate her setting these boundaries, as far as I'm concerned, Sandoval and Raquel will be on the next season in one form or another. Even if they're not actively communicating with Ariana, there's going to for sure be crossover there. You can't just let this story die. I mean, and they're clearly not. 3-part reunion. They've re-edited the whole season to share this crazy and wild story. So that's what we have over there. Here, they were referencing Raquel not feeling like she, took any of the blame. So here is a TMZ interview that came out. This was filmed in Los Angeles in March, which, if you didn't know, Los Angeles can be very cold. And TMZ just randomly finds Raquel sitting outside of a nail salon. The idea being that she probably had called TMZ to organize this, quote unquote, impromptu interview.
Hey Raquel, how are you?
Hi,
How are you doing?
Good.
How are you holding up ever since everything broke out?
I'm holding up okay.
Okay.
It's been a little rough, but I'm hanging in there.
Okay, I see your face kind of cleared up.
Yeah.
That's good. Sheena claims she never hit you. Is that true, or is she who's lying? Who's saying the truth?
Sheena knows what happened that night. I'm not gonna go into it too much.
Okay.
I do have a permanent scar.
Okay.
On my eyebrow.
Oh wow, yeah, I see it.
So.
Okay.
So, of course, Sheena pushed Raquel or hit her, maybe her ring cut her. Either way, she assaulted Raquel. Now, Raquel filed a temporary restraining order but didn't show up to court, so the restraining order was dropped. That's where they stand. They kind of,
How do you feel about
kind of ended from there. There's no one suing each other.
Show tomorrow, just meeting everyone.
I know I have to take accountability for my actions.
Yeah.
So I'm completely prepared to do that.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay, have you apologized to Ari yet? Have you guys talked, or how's that?
We talked on the phone, and I apologized to her over text, but she didn't receive it very well. So.
Okay, what'd she say back?
I prefer not to say.
Okay, it was probably
just know it wasn't received well. Yeah.
Okay.
So she's laughing here, but laughter is a common response to absurdity. Like, she's caught herself in this wild situation here. Like I said, I've always said this, and I'll continue to say it. She did something terrible to her friend, and it really shows where her character's at. But also at the same time, hurt people. She needs to work on whatever this issue is. And in the end, when it's all said and done for Rachel here, it could be a blessing for her. It could be a blessing for her to learn more about herself and overcome that. Or it could be a situation where she doesn't learn anything. She thinks she's a victim. There's two roads she could take here.
How did it start? Like, you and Tom, was it just something that just happened out the ordinary, or is,
It started off as a friendship.
Okay.
And it turned into something more. But I'm sure we'll go into detail about all of that.
Okay.
All right, so it just felt very scripted to people, and it's like one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't. She put herself in a situation, and here she is, and she's not going to be looking like the hero here. That goes to Ariana, and we'll have to see how it all plays out. They still have the 3-part reunion, and apparently there's surprises that are still coming out, and they don't even know if anyone's going to want to film the next season, so we'll have to dig into all of that as it comes. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, double check, make sure you're subscribed to the channel for updates. And don't forget, every afternoon we have the hit podcast, Bachelor Rush Hour, that is up and live right now. Go listen to that wherever you check out your podcast. Have a good weekend, everybody. We'll see you on Monday.